Golden Haven Estate in the heart of Abuja was home to the city's elite, a private enclave where wealth dripped from the marble floors and gold-plated gates. The women here lived in mansions larger than some hotels, drove luxury cars, and wore diamonds the size of golf balls. Yet beneath the glitz and glamour lay secrets darker than the Abuja night sky. Life behind those gates wasn't always perfect. Beneath the polished smiles, whispers of infidelity, betrayal, and envy swirled like harmattan dust. Olivia Bello, a former beauty queen and wife of oil magnate William Bello, reigned as queen of the estate's social circle. Her rival Evelyn James, married to billionaire tech mogul Leo James, had recently moved into the estate, immediately stirring tension. Both women were used to getting what they wanted: power, wealth, and men. So, when rumors spread of a young, dashing man visiting the estate, carrying with him a reputation for being well endowed, the air grew thick with anticipation and rivalry. Henry, the 32-year-old gym trainer, was hired to work at the estate's exclusive fitness club. Tall, muscular, and charismatic, he turned heads wherever he went. His chiseled jawline and deep voice made even the most composed women blush. But it wasn't just his appearance that had the women in Golden Haven buzzing. It was the whispers among the housemaids and drivers about his exceptional manhood. Olivia was the first to notice him during her morning workout. As he demonstrated proper form for a squat, she couldn't help but let her gaze linger. Evelyn spotted him later that evening at the pool and immediately arranged for private swimming lessons. What started as innocent admiration soon spiraled into something more dangerous, a silent competition between the two most powerful women in the estate to win Henry's attention. Olivia was never one to wait for things to fall into her lap. She believed in action. The next morning, she invited Henry to her mansion for a private fitness session. Dressed in tight leggings and a crop top that showed off her toned stomach, she welcomed him into her home gym with a confident smile. As Henry demonstrated a set of lunges, Olivia leaned closer than necessary, laughing at his every joke. "You're really good at what you do, Henry," she said, her voice dripping with charm. Henry was polite but professional, not giving much away. Olivia, however, wasn't discouraged. She was determined to have him eating out of her hand, no matter what it took. Evelyn, on the other hand, preferred subtlety. She didn't believe in rushing things. After seeing Olivia's sudden interest in fitness, Evelyn became curious. She made a mental note to schedule her own private session with Henry, but she wanted something more personal. That weekend, she arranged for a dinner party at her mansion and made sure Henry was invited under the pretense of getting to know the staff better. She wore a stunning red dress that hugged her figure in all the right places, her makeup flawless. When Henry arrived, she greeted him warmly, offering him a seat at the table closest to hers. Over the course of the evening, she charmed him with her wit and elegance, making sure to leave an impression. As the days passed, Henry found himself caught in a web of attention. Both women showered him with gifts. Olivia sent expensive watches and designer clothes, while Evelyn delivered thoughtful gestures like a hand-picked leather gym bag. Despite their wealth and status, their rivalry over Henry turned them into schoolgirls vying for a crush's attention. At first, Henry found their interest amusing. He was no stranger to admiration, but this was different. These weren't ordinary women. They were wives of billionaires. He kept his distance, knowing the trouble that could come from indulging either of them. But as Olivia became more aggressive and Evelyn more persuasive, Henry realized he wouldn't be able to stay neutral forever. Olivia decided it was time to solidify her claim on Henry. One evening, she surprised him with a brand new luxury SUV parked outside his modest apartment. "I couldn't resist," she said with a sly smile. "You deserve to move around in style." Henry was stunned, unsure how to respond. "Madam Olivia, this is too much. I can't accept." "Nonsense," she interrupted, stepping closer. "You work hard, and I believe in rewarding loyalty." Though hesitant, Henry accepted the gift reluctantly, knowing it would make rejecting her advances even harder. When Evelyn got wind of the extravagant gesture through the estate grapevine, she was furious. She vowed to outdo Olivia and began plotting her next move. Evelyn decided to play a more dangerous game. She enlisted her husband Leo's private investigator to dig into Olivia's personal life, hoping to uncover secrets that could tarnish her reputation. What the investigator found was shocking, evidence of Olivia's husband's ongoing affair with a younger woman. Armed with this knowledge, Evelyn approached Olivia during a casual tea meeting at the estate clubhouse. "You've been busy lately," Evelyn said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "But you might want to pay attention to what's happening in your own home. Rumor has it William has been spending a lot of late nights at that new hotel downtown." Olivia's face hardened, but she quickly masked her anger. That night, Olivia confronted her husband. "How long has this been going on, William?" she demanded, holding up photos of him with the young woman. William, taken off guard, admitted to the affair but dismissed her concerns. "You're too dramatic, Olivia. You've been distracted yourself." "Who is this Henry the First keep hearing about?" he asked pointedly. Olivia froze. She hadn't expected her husband to know about Henry, and the accusation only made her more furious. "Don't turn this on me," she snapped. But William's words rattled her. She realized that her pursuit of Henry wasn't as discreet as she had thought, and the walls seemed to be closing in. Meanwhile, Evelyn called Henry to her mansion under the guise of needing help with her gym equipment. When he arrived, she greeted him wearing an elegant but revealing evening dress. After offering him a drink, she leaned in close. "You don't belong among ordinary people, Henry. With me, you can have everything you've ever wanted," she whispered. Her words tempted Henry, but he remained cautious. "Madam Evelyn, I'm just here to work. I don't want to cause any trouble," he said firmly, though the way her hand brushed his didn't escape him. Evelyn smiled, knowing she had planted a seed. What she didn't realize was that their exchange had been overheard by her maid, who would later spill the details to Olivia's loyal staff. The next morning, Olivia's maid reported everything she had heard about Evelyn's advances toward Henry. Furious, Olivia stormed into Evelyn's mansion unannounced. "You couldn't find your own man," she spat, pointing a manicured finger. "Stay away from him." Evelyn, unbothered, smirked and crossed her arms. "You think you can dictate what I do, Olivia? You're not the queen of this estate, no matter how much you pretend to be." Their argument escalated, with both women hurling insults at each other until the estate security had to intervene. The altercation quickly became the talk of the neighborhood, leaving their husbands embarrassed and the other residents entertained. Henry couldn't avoid the tension any longer. The women's fight had become the estate's favorite gossip, and his name was on everyone's lips. Even the security guards gave him knowing smirks when he walked by, though he tried to remain professional. Olivia and Evelyn's relentless pursuit made his life increasingly complicated. One evening, Henry sat in his small apartment, staring at the keys to the SUV Olivia had gifted him. His phone buzzed with a message from Evelyn: "Dinner tomorrow. Just us. Don't disappoint me." He felt trapped. Both women were powerful, and rejecting either of them could come with consequences. But deep down, Henry knew he couldn't keep playing along. While Olivia and Evelyn were busy plotting against each other, a surprising alliance was forming. Their husbands, William and Leo, had grown tired of the public spectacle their wives were creating. Over drinks at an exclusive club, William leaned toward Leo. "Our wives are embarrassing us," he said. "This Henry guy needs to go." Leo nodded in agreement. "I've already started looking into him. He's charming, but he's playing a dangerous game." Together, the two billionaires decided to take matters into their own hands. They contacted a private investigator to dig into Henry's past, hoping to find something they could use to push him out of the estate and their lives. The investigator's report came back with shocking details. Though Henry appeared to be a simple gym trainer, he had a hidden past. Years ago, he had been involved in a financial scam in Lagos that left several people bankrupt. He had managed to avoid prison but had been forced to start over with a new identity. Armed with this information, William and Leo confronted Henry late one evening. "We know who you really are," William said coldly, tossing a folder onto the table. Henry's heart sank as he flipped through the damning evidence. "You have two choices," Leo added. "Leave Golden Haven quietly, or we'll expose everything." Henry knew his time at the estate was running out, but before he could make a decision, Olivia invited him over. She had heard rumors of his confrontation with the billionaires and wanted to know the truth. When Henry hesitated, Olivia pressed him. "You can trust me," she said softly. "I'll protect you." Desperate, Henry revealed his past. Olivia's expression shifted from surprise to calculation. She now held something powerful, information she could use against Evelyn or even her own husband. "Don't worry, Henry," she said with a smile. "I'll handle this." But deep down, Henry felt uneasy. Olivia's kindness often came with strings attached. Meanwhile, Evelyn had no intention of backing down. She heard whispers of Olivia's meeting with Henry and decided to confront her rival directly. "You think you've won because you have dirt on him?" Evelyn sneered when they met at the estate's tennis court. "Don't forget, Olivia, I know things about your husband that could ruin you." Their confrontation quickly turned heated, with insults flying and accusations being made. By the time the argument ended, it was clear that neither woman was willing to let go of Henry or the power he represented. What they didn't realize was that their husbands were now working together to destroy both their plans. The next morning, Henry received a visit from William and Leo. They weren't alone. Two burly men stood behind them, their presence intimidating. "It's time for you to leave," Leo said firmly, tossing a plane ticket to Lagos onto the table. "You've overstayed your welcome, and we won't ask again." Henry swallowed hard. He knew the billionaires had the power to ruin him completely if he didn't comply. "I'll pack my things," he said, keeping his tone neutral. But deep down, he felt a surge of defiance. He had come too far to be chased away like a criminal. Before leaving, he decided to reach out to Olivia and Evelyn one last time, knowing their influence could turn the tide in his favor. When Olivia heard about Henry's impending departure, she panicked. She had invested too much in him to let him go so easily. That evening, she cornered William in their living room. "I know what you're doing," she said, her voice trembling with rage. "You think you can just run him out of here?" William raised an eyebrow, unfazed. "He's trouble, Olivia. Or do you care more about him than your own husband?" Olivia hesitated but quickly regained her composure. "If he goes, I'll make sure everyone knows about your little mistress downtown," she threatened. William's expression darkened. For the first time, Olivia realized just how dangerous her own husband could be. Evelyn, on the other hand, took a different approach. She met with Leo in his office, pretending to support his decision. "You're right, darling," she said sweetly. "Henry is a distraction, and he should leave. But let me handle it. I'll make sure he doesn't come back." Leo looked at her suspiciously but nodded. Evelyn, however, had no intention of letting Henry go. She secretly called him that evening, urging him to stay. "You don't have to run," she said, her voice soft. "I'll protect you. We'll figure this out together." Henry was torn. Both women were offering help, but he knew their motivations were far from selfless. Later that week, Olivia and Evelyn accidentally crossed paths at the estate's exclusive spa. What started as small talk quickly escalated into a heated exchange. "I know you're still chasing after Henry," Olivia hissed. "Do you think he'll choose you over me?" Evelyn smirked. "At least I don't have to bribe him with cars and gifts." "Face it, Olivia, you're losing your touch." The argument grew louder, drawing the attention of other residents. One woman discreetly recorded the altercation and leaked it to a gossip blog. Within hours, the video went viral, exposing the rivalry and sparking endless speculation about the mysterious Henry. Humiliated by the public scandal, William and Leo decided to take drastic action. They called a meeting with their wives, making their frustration clear. "You've embarrassed this family enough," Leo growled at Evelyn. "If you don't stop this nonsense, I'll cut you off completely." William turned to Olivia. "You think you can blackmail me? Try it, and I'll make sure you lose everything. Both of you are done with this Henry nonsense, or there will be consequences." For the first time, Olivia and Evelyn were united in their silence. They realized their husbands were dead serious, but neither woman was ready to give up the fight. Henry, tired of being a pawn in the wealthy couple's games, decided to confront his fate head-on. That evening, he called both Olivia and Evelyn to meet him at a secluded spot outside the estate. Though hesitant, curiosity and their lingering obsession with him drew them to the rendezvous. When they arrived, Henry didn't hold back. "This has gone too far," he said, his voice firm. "Your husbands want me gone, and I don't blame them. You've put me in a dangerous position, and I won't be a part of your war anymore." His words stung, but neither woman was willing to let him go. Olivia tried to plead, while Evelyn offered him a way to escape the estate with her help. Henry, however, had made his decision. "I'm leaving. For good. Fix your lives before it's too late," he said before walking away, leaving both women stunned. The next day, another scandal rocked Golden Haven. The leaked video of Olivia and Evelyn's argument had caught the attention of a local investigative journalist who began digging deeper into the lives of the estate's residents. Within days, reports of William's affair and Leo's shady business dealings surfaced in the media, tarnishing their reputations. Golden Haven Estate, once a symbol of prestige, became a circus of paparazzi and curious onlookers. The public humiliation put immense strain on both marriages. William and Olivia began living in separate quarters, barely speaking, while Leo threatened to divorce Evelyn if she didn't stop her reckless behavior. Olivia retreated into isolation, realizing how much she had lost. The luxurious life she once controlled now felt empty. Her husband had become a stranger, her reputation was in shambles, and Henry, the man she had risked everything for, was gone. In a moment of desperation, she reached out to Henry one last time, but his phone had been disconnected. In her solitude, Olivia began reflecting on her choices. For the first time, she understood how her greed and obsession had driven her to this point. She resolved to make amends, not for Henry, but for herself. She began quietly funding charities and working to rebuild her public image, though the road ahead was steep. Evelyn, however, couldn't let go of her anger. Blaming Olivia for everything, she decided to confront her rival again. This time, she arrived at Olivia's mansion uninvited, demanding an explanation. "You ruined everything," she shouted. "You couldn't stand that I was winning." Olivia, now calmer and more introspective, shook her head. "We both lost, Evelyn. Maybe it's time we stop blaming each other and look at ourselves." But Evelyn refused to listen. Her outburst was overheard by neighbors, further adding fuel to the gossip swirling around the estate. Feeling cornered, Evelyn spiraled into a bout of reckless spending and partying, pushing her marriage to the brink. Far from the chaos of Golden Haven, Henry had started a new life in Lagos. With the money he had saved and some of Olivia and Evelyn's generous gifts, he opened a small gym in a middle-class neighborhood. For the first time in years, he felt free. Though he occasionally thought about the women who had fought over him, he was determined not to repeat the mistakes of his past. He kept his distance from wealthy clients, focusing instead on building a community of everyday people who shared his passion for fitness. Back in Golden Haven, Olivia and Evelyn eventually reached an uneasy truce. The constant media attention and pressure from their husbands forced them to reevaluate their priorities. While they would never be friends, they agreed to stay out of each other's way. Their marriages, however, remained fragile. William and Leo had lost trust in their wives, and though they continued to live under the same roofs, the warmth in their relationships had faded. Golden Haven had become a gilded prison for all involved, a constant reminder of what their obsessions had cost them. Months later, life in Golden Haven estate began returning to normal, though it was forever changed. Olivia and Evelyn rarely attended social events, choosing instead to focus on their private lives. The other residents, wary of becoming the next scandal, kept their affairs under wraps. As for Henry, his name became a whispered legend in Golden Haven. Some said he had moved abroad, others claimed he was running a successful business in Lagos. But no one knew for sure. For Olivia and Evelyn, the memory of him lingered, a painful reminder of the price they paid for their reckless desires. The end.